Hey everyone, and welcome back to Code Your English. I'm genuinely excited that you're here today, because this isn't just another English lesson. This is a chance to improve your English through stories, emotions, and real-life conversations. The kind of English people actually use every day. And before we begin, I want you to take a moment and realize something. Out of everything you could be doing right now, you chose to spend these next few minutes investing in yourself. That's powerful. Maybe you're enjoying your morning coffee. Maybe you're on your way to work or school. Maybe you're taking a walk, relaxing at home, or listening with your headphones on after a long day. Wherever you are, and whatever your day looks like, I'm truly grateful you're here. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a community of learners from all around the world who are working toward the same goal: becoming more confident, more fluent, and more comfortable speaking English. So make yourself comfortable, clear your mind, and get ready to learn English in a way that feels natural, enjoyable, and unforgettable. Now, before we begin today, I want to ask you a small favor. If you have not already done it, please subscribe to Code Your English. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. We release new content regularly, and trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming. Every episode is designed to help you improve your English while also learning something meaningful and useful about life. So, subscribe, follow, share with a friend. It means the world to us, and it helps this little community grow. Okay, now let's take a breath together. I mean it. Just one slow breath in and out. Good. Because today's episode is a special one. It is not just about English. It is about something much more personal, something that many people feel, but very few people talk about openly. Today on Code Your English, we are going to talk about social anxiety. And I want to start by asking you a few very simple questions. I want you to be honest. Even if you are only answering in your own heart, in your own mind, nobody else can hear you. This is just between you and me. Here are my questions. Have you ever felt your heart beating very fast before you had to speak in front of other people? Have you ever walked into a room full of strangers and immediately wanted to walk right back out? Have you ever stayed quiet in a conversation, not because you had nothing to say, but because you were afraid that if you spoke, you would say something wrong, something embarrassing, something that would make people judge you? Have you ever practiced what you wanted to say in your head over and over again before making a simple phone call? Have you ever avoided a social situation, a party, a meeting, a class, because the thought of being there felt too overwhelming? If you answered yes to even one of those questions, this episode is for you. And if you answered yes to all of them, then please keep listening. Because today, I want you to feel something very important. You are not alone. I am Jason, your host, and today we are going to talk about social anxiety. What it is, what it feels like, why it happens, how it affects real people's lives, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Let's begin. Let's start at the very beginning, because understanding something is always the first step to feeling better about it. What is social anxiety? Now, many people hear those two words, social anxiety, and they think, oh, that just means being shy. But social anxiety is not the same as shyness. Let me explain the difference, because it is important. Shyness is a personality trait. A personality trait is a part of who you are, a way you naturally tend to behave. A shy person might feel a little nervous when they first meet someone new, but after a few minutes, they warm up, they relax, they start to feel comfortable. Shyness can be a little inconvenient sometimes, but it does not usually stop a person from living their life. Social anxiety is different. Social anxiety is more than just feeling a little nervous. Social anxiety is a strong, ongoing fear of social situations. Situations where other people are present, watching, or listening. Let me say that again slowly, because it is our first key phrase today. Social anxiety, SOCIALANXIETY, is a strong, ongoing fear of social situations. The word social means connected to other people or society. And the word anxiety means a feeling of worry, nervousness, or fear about something, often something that might happen in the future. So social anxiety is the fear of situations that involve other people. But what exactly are people with social anxiety afraid of? This is very important to understand. People with social anxiety are not usually afraid of other people themselves. They are afraid of what other people might think about them. They are afraid of being judged. Let's look at some examples. A person with social anxiety might be terrified of speaking in front of a class or a group, not because they do not know the material, but because they are afraid of making a mistake in front of everyone. They think, what if I say something wrong? What if I forget my words? What if everyone laughs at me? A person with social anxiety might dread meeting new people. When someone introduces themselves for the first time, a person with social anxiety might feel frozen inside. Their mind races. They think, what do I say? Am I doing this right? Do they think I am weird? Did I say something stupid? A person with social anxiety might feel extreme discomfort when ordering food at a restaurant. You might think, that sounds so simple. But for someone with social anxiety, standing at a counter and speaking to a stranger while other people are waiting behind them can feel genuinely terrifying. Even making a phone call, something most of us do every day without thinking, can feel impossible for someone with social anxiety. The thought of speaking to a voice they cannot see, not knowing exactly what will be said, worrying about pausing too long or saying the wrong thing, it can be completely overwhelming. This is why social anxiety is more than just shyness. Shyness fades. Social anxiety stays. And it often stays in a way that starts to interfere with normal, everyday life. And there is one more thing I want you to understand. Social anxiety is very common. Research suggests that it is one of the most common mental health challenges in the world. So if you feel this way, you are not strange, you are not broken, you are not alone. What does social anxiety feel like? Now, I want to take you deeper, because understanding social anxiety in theory is one thing, but truly, understanding it means understanding how it feels. From the inside. I want you to imagine something with me. Close your eyes if it helps. Imagine you are sitting in a classroom. Your teacher says, "Okay, everyone, I want you each to stand up and introduce yourself to the class." Simple, right? For most people, a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little nervous, but manageable. But now imagine that the moment you hear those words, something happens inside your body. Your heart starts to beat faster. Not just a little faster, but so fast you can almost hear it. Your hands start to sweat. Your mouth goes completely dry. Your stomach feels like it is full of ice. Your legs feel weak. You try to take a deep breath, but it feels like the air will not come. And in your mind, the thoughts come rushing in like a storm. Everyone is going to stare at me. I am going to forget what I want to say. My voice is going to shake, and everyone will notice. They will think I am stupid. I am going to embarrass myself. I need to get out of here. And you haven't even stood up yet. This is what social anxiety can feel like. And I want you to notice. It is not just one thing. It is three things happening at the same time. It is your emotions, your body, and your thoughts, all reacting together, all at once, all very powerfully. Let's talk about each of these. The emotional experience. Emotionally, social anxiety often feels like fear. A strong, urgent fear. The same kind of fear you might feel if you were in actual physical danger. This is important because the fear feels completely real, even when there is no real danger. Along with fear, there is often a deep feeling of worry. Not just worry about what is happening now, but worry about what might happen. What if I make a mistake? What if they don't like me? This kind of worry often starts long before the social situation even happens. Someone with social anxiety might spend days worrying about an upcoming event, a birthday party, a job interview, a first day of school. And then, after the social situation ends, the worry often continues. People replay conversations in their minds. They think, did I say something wrong? Did I seem strange? What did that person really think of me? This can go on for hours, sometimes even days. There is also a very painful feeling of embarrassment, or the anticipation of embarrassment. People with social anxiety often feel shame about feeling anxious. They think, everyone else seems fine. Why can't I just be normal? This adds another layer of pain on top of the original anxiety. The physical experience. Now let's talk about the body, because social anxiety is not only something that happens in the mind, it is something that happens in the body too. When a person with social anxiety enters a feared social situation, their body reacts as if it is in danger. This is called the fight-or-flight response, our body's automatic system for dealing with threats. Let me write that phrase for you. Fight-or-flight response. In the fight-or-flight response, the body releases chemicals, including one called adrenaline, that prepare you to either fight the danger or run away from it. This was very useful for our ancient ancestors who needed to escape from predators. But in a social situation, a classroom, a party, a meeting, this response is not helpful at all. It makes everything much harder. What does it feel like? People often describe a fast heartbeat. The heart pounds in the chest. It can feel alarming and scary in itself. Sweaty palms and hands. The hands become wet, which can be embarrassing when you need to shake someone's hand or write something. Shaking. Hands, voice, even legs can tremble, especially when speaking. Dry mouth. It becomes hard to swallow, hard to speak clearly. Stomach discomfort. That famous butterflies in the stomach feeling, or sometimes something more intense. Nausea, or the feeling of needing to leave immediately. Blushing. The face turns red, which for many people with social anxiety is one of the most distressing symptoms because they believe others will see it and judge them. Difficulty breathing. The breath becomes shallow, fast, or tight. All of these physical symptoms can make the situation even harder. Because when you notice your hands are shaking, your anxiety increases. When you feel your voice trembling, you think, they're going to notice. And that thought makes everything worse. The thought patterns. And then there are the thoughts. The negative automatic thoughts that come rushing in without permission. Let me share some of the most common ones. Everyone is looking at me. I am going to make a fool of myself. People will think I am strange. I am not good enough. I don't fit in here. They are judging me. I need to escape. Why can't I be normal? These thoughts feel completely true when they happen. They feel like facts. But, and this is something we will come back to later, they are usually not facts. They are fears. And fears, as we will learn, can be challenged and changed. Common situations that trigger social anxiety. Now let's talk about where social anxiety shows up in real daily life. Because it is not just about big dramatic moments. Social anxiety often appears in the quiet, ordinary moments of every day. Moments that most people pass through without a second thought. Let me share some stories with you. These are not stories of one specific person. They are collections of real experiences that many people share. At school, meet Anna. Anna is 22 years old and studying at a university. She is intelligent, kind, and hardworking. She does her homework every night. She reads the textbooks carefully. She understands the material. But every morning before class, Anna feels sick with anxiety. Not because she doesn't know the answers, but because she is terrified that the professor might call on her. Every time the teacher asks a question and pauses to look around the room, Anna's heart stops. She looks down at her notebook. She tries to disappear. When it is time for group projects, Anna struggles painfully. She wants to contribute, but she freezes when others speak. She worries constantly. Are my ideas good enough? Will they think I am stupid if I suggest something wrong? And presentations. Presentations are Anna's worst nightmare. She prepared beautifully. She knows every word. But the moment she stands in front of the class, her mind goes blank. Her voice shakes. She rushes through her words and sits down as fast as possible. Then spends the rest of the day reliving every mistake. Anna is not alone. Millions of students around the world experience exactly what she experiences. At work, now meet David. David is 35. He has a good job in an office. He is reliable, smart, and skilled at what he does. His colleagues respect him. But meetings are David's nightmare. When his manager says, "Let's go around the room and share updates," David's stomach drops. He knows his update. He has prepared it. But the moment the attention comes to him, his face turns red, his voice tightens, and he forgets everything he planned to say. David avoids speaking to new colleagues when he doesn't have to. He eats lunch alone, not because he doesn't like people, but because the casual conversation of a shared lunch table feels impossibly stressful. He has turned down opportunities for promotion because they required giving presentations or leading meetings. He knows this is hurting his career. He feels frustrated and ashamed, but he doesn't know how to change. David is not alone either. In daily life, now let's meet Sophie. Sophie is 18. She has social anxiety in what might seem like the most ordinary moments. Going to a shop and asking where to find something, that takes Sophie enormous courage. Calling to make a doctor's appointment, Sophie has sometimes avoided this and let health problems go untreated because the phone call felt too frightening. Walking into a cafe where she has to order at a counter while people stand behind her. Sophie rehearses her order in her head 15 times before she gets to the front. Going to a party where she doesn't know everyone, Sophie sometimes accepts invitations, then cancels at the last minute with a text message saying she is feeling unwell. She isn't lying, exactly. The anxiety makes her feel genuinely physically unwell. These situations might seem small to someone who does not experience social anxiety. But to Sophie, and to millions of people like her, they represent real battles, fought every single day. A note about language, vocabulary spotlight. Let me pause here for a moment and highlight some vocabulary from this section, because at Code Your English, we are always learning language alongside life. To trigger, T-R-I-G-G-E-R, means to cause something to start or happen. Crowded spaces trigger her anxiety. A trigger is the thing that starts the reaction. To freeze, to become completely still and unable to move or speak. When the teacher called my name, I froze. To rehearse, R-E-H-E-A-R-S-E, means to practice something, often in your mind. She rehearsed her order 10 times before going to the counter. Overwhelming, O-V-E-R-W-H-E-L-M-I-N-G, means so strong or intense that it is very hard to handle. The crowded room felt overwhelming. Keep those words. Use them. Make them yours. Why does social anxiety happen? This is one of the questions I hear most often, and I think it is one of the most important ones. Why does social anxiety happen? The honest answer is, it is rarely just one thing. Social anxiety, like most complex human experiences, usually comes from a combination of factors. Let's look at them together. Factor 1. Personality and temperament. Some people are naturally born with a personality that tends toward caution, sensitivity, and introversion. Temperament, T-E-M-P-E-R-A-M-E-N-T, is the natural way a person tends to feel and behave, present from very early childhood. Research shows that children who are described as behaviorally inhibited, meaning they are cautious and tend to withdraw in unfamiliar situations, are more likely to develop social anxiety later in life. This does not mean social anxiety is their destiny. It simply means some people are more naturally sensitive to social pressure than others. And sensitivity is not a weakness. It is often a deep strength. Sensitive people tend to be empathetic, thoughtful, creative, and deeply aware of others. The challenge is simply learning to manage the intensity of that sensitivity in social situations. Factor 2. Life experiences. Our experiences shape us, profoundly and powerfully, and certain experiences can plant the seeds of social anxiety. Being bullied is one of the most significant risk factors. When a child is mocked, excluded, humiliated, or belittled, especially repeatedly, especially by peers, they learn a very painful lesson. Other people are not safe. Other people will hurt me. This lesson can become deeply embedded in the mind, and it does not always go away when the bullying stops. Harsh criticism, whether from parents, teachers, or other adults, can also leave lasting marks. When a child is constantly told they are not good enough, not smart enough, not performing well enough, they begin to believe it. And they begin to fear situations where that judgment might happen again. Embarrassing experiences, a moment of public humiliation, a time when something went very wrong in front of others, can create a lasting association between social situations and danger. The mind remembers. The body remembers. Even when the logical mind knows that was just one moment, one day, long ago, the emotional mind holds on. Factor 3. Family and environment. We learn so much from watching the people around us, especially when we are young. If a child grows up with a parent who is very anxious in social situations, who avoids parties, who makes anxious comments before social events, who teaches the child to be very concerned about what other people think, the child may absorb those patterns, not because the parent intended any harm, but because children are natural learners, and they learn from everything they observe. Some family environments also emphasize the importance of others' opinions very heavily. In these environments, the child learns what other people think about our family is very important. We must never embarrass ourselves. This kind of upbringing, while well-intentioned, can make a child hyper-aware of social judgment. Factor 4. The brain and biology. Here is something fascinating, and I want to explain it simply, because I think it helps people feel less confused about why they feel the way they feel. Inside your brain, there is a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala, A-M-Y-G-D-A-L-A. The amygdala is your brain's alarm system. Its job is to detect danger and send out the warning signal that triggers that fight-or-flight response we talked about earlier. In people with social anxiety, research suggests that the amygdala may be more reactive, meaning it fires the alarm signal more easily, more intensely, and in response to situations that are not actually dangerous. The amygdala sees a crowded room or a person about to speak in public, and it says, "Danger, alert, protect yourself." Of course, giving a presentation is not actually dangerous. No one is going to physically harm you. But the brain does not always know the difference between physical danger and social danger. And for some people, the alarm fires just as loudly for social threats as it would for physical ones. This does not mean that people with social anxiety are weak, or broken, or flawed. It means their alarm system is very sensitive, and with the right support and practice, that alarm system can be recalibrated. The most important point. Here is what I want you to take away from this section. If you have social anxiety, it is not your fault. It is not because you are not trying hard enough. It is not because you are a bad person. It is not because there is something fundamentally wrong with you. Social anxiety develops for real, understandable, human reasons, and it can be managed, improved, and overcome. How social anxiety can affect daily life. I want to be honest with you now, because I think honesty, even when it is hard, is more respectful than pretending everything is simple. Social anxiety can have a deep and serious impact on a person's life, not just in the moment of anxiety itself, but in all the decisions that anxiety shapes, often quietly, often invisibly. Let me walk you through some of those areas. Friendships and relationships. One of the most painful effects of social anxiety is its impact on friendships. Making friends requires you to initiate conversations, to open yourself up, to take small social risks, to say hello first, to suggest getting coffee, to share something personal. For someone with social anxiety, each of these steps can feel enormous. So sometimes, people with social anxiety simply don't take those steps. Not because they don't want friends, not because they don't care about connection, but because the fear of rejection, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of being judged, it stops them. And the result is loneliness. A painful, invisible loneliness that the people around them might never even suspect. Because from the outside, A person with social anxiety might seem independent, quiet, self-contained. On the inside, they might be desperately longing for connection and simply not knowing how to reach it. Romantic relationships present similar challenges. The vulnerability required for romance, the openness, the risk of rejection, the intimacy of being truly seen by another person can feel absolutely terrifying when you are carrying social anxiety. Education. In schools and universities, social anxiety can quietly steal opportunities. Think about how much of education is social: participating in class discussions, working in groups, giving presentations, asking questions when you don't understand, networking with classmates who might become future colleagues and friends. A student with social anxiety may sit in the back of the class, never raising their hand. Not because they don't have ideas, but because they are afraid of saying something wrong. They may receive lower grades on participation. They may struggle with group projects. They may avoid clubs, societies, and extracurricular activities that could enrich their education and build their confidence. And perhaps most heartbreakingly, they may choose their academic path based on anxiety rather than passion. They may avoid courses that require presentations. They may steer away from opportunities to study abroad or pursue leadership roles, not because they don't want those things, but because the anxiety says, "You can't do that. You'll fail. People will see through you." Work and career. At work, the impact continues. Speaking up in meetings, networking with industry contacts, presenting ideas to clients, interviewing for jobs, asking for a raise, taking on leadership responsibilities. All of these are important for career growth. And all of them can feel impossible for someone with significant social anxiety. People may find themselves stuck in roles far below their actual ability. They may watch less talented but more socially confident colleagues advance ahead of them. They may feel invisible, undervalued, and be unable to explain why, even to themselves. Personal happiness and well-being. And ultimately, the greatest cost of social anxiety is to a person's own happiness. Living with constant fear, constant worry, constant self-monitoring. It is exhausting. Deeply, profoundly exhausting. It takes enormous energy to be perpetually on guard, perpetually anxious about what others think, perpetually managing the gap between what you want to do and what your anxiety allows you to do. Over time, this can lead to feelings of low self-worth. A person with social anxiety may begin to believe that the anxiety is telling them the truth, that they really are not good enough, not interesting enough, not worthy of friendship and connection and success. It can also lead to depression. Not always, but frequently. Social anxiety and depression occur together, each feeding the other. But here is what I want you to know. Social anxiety can make life harder. I will not pretend otherwise. But, and this is so important, it does not define who you are. You are not your anxiety. Your anxiety is something you experience, not something you are. Beneath it, you are a person with intelligence, creativity, depth, humor, kindness, talent, and 1,000 things worth sharing with the world. And people recover from social anxiety. People learn to manage it. People go on to build friendships, relationships, careers, and lives that are full and rich and meaningful. We will talk about how, very soon, myths and facts about social anxiety. Okay, let's take a moment to clear up some misunderstandings, Because social anxiety is often misunderstood, even by the people who are experiencing it, and misunderstanding can make things much worse. Let's look at some common myths and the facts that replace them. Myth number 1. People with social anxiety are just shy. We talked about this earlier, but it is worth repeating clearly. The fact: shyness and social anxiety are not the same thing. Shyness is a personality trait, a natural tendency to be quiet or cautious in social situations. It is usually mild and does not significantly interfere with daily life. Social anxiety is much more intense. It involves genuine fear, strong physical symptoms, and persistent, distressing thoughts. It can seriously disrupt a person's education, career, relationships, and daily functioning. Telling someone with social anxiety to just stop being shy is a bit like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. The problem is real, and it needs real understanding, not dismissal. Myth number 2. People with social anxiety don't like other people. This is a very painful misunderstanding, and it causes a lot of hurt. The fact: most people with social anxiety want very much to connect with others. They crave friendship, conversation, belonging, and love, just like everyone else. The problem is not that they dislike people. The problem is that they are deeply afraid of what those people might think of them. When a person with social anxiety declines a social invitation, it is almost never because they don't want to be there. It is because the fear of what might go wrong feels bigger, in that moment, than the desire to connect. The desire to connect is still there. It is always there. Myth number 3. They should just push themselves. Just be more confident. This myth is well-intentioned. It comes from a place of wanting to help, but it is often unhelpful and sometimes even harmful. The fact: managing social anxiety takes time. It takes the right tools, the right support, and often professional guidance. It is a process, not a light switch you can simply flip. Telling someone with social anxiety to just be more confident is a little like telling someone who is learning to swim to just not drown. The instruction is not wrong exactly. Confidence is indeed the goal. But the path from where they are to that goal requires real steps, real practice, real support. And here is something wonderful about the truth. People can and do make those steps. They can and do build that confidence. It just takes time. And that time is worth taking. Myth number 4. Social anxiety is rare. Most people don't experience this. The fact: social anxiety disorder is one of the most common mental health conditions worldwide. Estimates suggest that between 7 and 13% of people will experience significant social anxiety at some point in their lives. That means in a room of 100 people, somewhere between 7 and 13 of them know exactly what we are talking about today. Social anxiety is common. It is human. And it is nothing to be ashamed of. Simple ways to manage social anxiety. And now, this is the section I have been looking forward to all episode. Because this is where we stop just describing the problem and start talking about what we can actually do. And I want to say something very clearly before we begin. These are not magic solutions. Managing social anxiety is a journey, not a destination. Progress is real, but it is usually gradual. And that is perfectly okay. Small steps forward are still steps forward. Let's look at some genuinely helpful strategies. Strategy 1. Start small. This is the single most important principle for managing social anxiety. Do not start with the hardest thing. When people decide they want to overcome their social anxiety, there is sometimes a temptation to force themselves into the most terrifying situation possible. I'll just go to the huge party with 100 strangers and push through it. Sometimes this works. More often, it increases anxiety and makes things worse. Instead, think about building a ladder of challenges. Start at the bottom, with the smallest, least frightening social situations. Maybe that means saying good morning to your neighbor. Maybe it means asking a shop assistant where to find something. Maybe it means staying in a group conversation for 5 minutes before quietly stepping away. Each small success matters. Each time you do something that felt scary and nothing catastrophic happens, your brain learns, oh, that was okay. Maybe social situations are not always dangerous. This is called exposure, and it is one of the most evidence-based tools for reducing anxiety. Build up slowly. Each step prepares you for the next. Strategy 2. Challenge your negative thoughts. Remember those automatic negative thoughts we talked about? Everyone is looking at me. They think I am stupid. I am going to embarrass myself. One of the most powerful things you can do is learn to question those thoughts instead of automatically believing them. When a negative thought appears, try asking yourself, is this thought actually true, or is it a fear? What evidence do I have that this thought is true? What evidence do I have that it might not be true? What is the most realistic thing that could actually happen? What would I say to a friend who was having this thought? This technique comes from a type of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and it is widely considered one of the most effective approaches for social anxiety. You can begin practicing it yourself right now, today. Let me give you an example. You are about to give a short presentation, and the thought comes, I am going to completely forget everything, and everyone will think I am stupid. Ask yourself, is this true? Have I completely forgotten everything before? Actually, I have given 2 presentations before, and both went okay. Is there evidence that people will think I am stupid? Actually, most people are not paying as much attention as I think. They are thinking about their own lives. What is the realistic outcome? Probably I will be a little nervous, but I will get through it, and it will be fine. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about finding the truth, which is usually much kinder than the anxiety believes. Strategy 3. Practice social skills deliberately. Social skills are exactly that, skills, and skills improve with practice. For some people with social anxiety, certain social interactions feel difficult, partly because they have avoided them for so long that they feel unfamiliar and uncertain. You can practice. Start with very simple interactions. Make eye contact with someone and smile. Say hello to someone you pass regularly. Ask a colleague how their weekend was. Practice introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Name. It's nice to meet you. These might sound too simple to be useful. They are not. Every small interaction you complete builds your social muscle memory. Every time you navigate a social situation successfully, even a tiny one, you add one more piece of evidence to the case your brain is slowly building. Social situations can be okay. I can do this. Over time, these small interactions add up to something significant. Strategy 4. Breathing and relaxation techniques. When the fight or flight response fires and your body floods with adrenaline, One of the fastest ways to calm your nervous system is through your breath. This is not a cliché. It is biology. When you slow your breathing deliberately, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the system that tells your body, "It's okay. The danger is gone. You can relax now." Here is a simple technique. It is called box breathing, and you can use it anywhere. In a bathroom before a presentation, in your car before a difficult meeting, sitting quietly before a social event. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Breathe out slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Repeat this 3 or 4 times. You will likely feel your heart rate slowing, your muscles softening, your mind clearing. It is a small action with a powerful effect. Strategy 5. Talk to someone. This is perhaps the bravest strategy on the list, and possibly the most important. You do not have to face social anxiety alone. There are people who can help. Talking to a trusted friend or family member about what you experience can be enormously relieving. Often, simply saying the words out loud, "I feel really anxious in social situations. I've been struggling with it for a while," removes some of the shame and isolation. And sometimes you discover that the person you're talking to understands more than you expected. You can also speak with a mental health professional, a psychologist, therapist, or counselor. If you have access to one, I encourage you genuinely to consider this. Cognitive behavioral therapy and other approaches have a strong track record for helping people with social anxiety make real, lasting progress. You do not have to be in crisis to seek help. Wanting to feel better is reason enough, and if professional support is not accessible right now, there are wonderful books, online resources, and communities of people who share their experiences and strategies. You are not limited to what you can find alone. One final reminder about progress. Progress with social anxiety is rarely a straight line. There will be days when you feel you have taken 3 steps forward. There will be days when you feel you've taken 2 steps back. Both are completely normal. The important thing is not to expect perfection. The important thing is to keep going, to notice the small improvements, to celebrate the small wins, to be kind to yourself on the hard days, because you are doing something genuinely courageous, and you deserve to be proud of that. Success stories and encouragement. Before we close today's episode, I want to share a story with you. A story that I hope will stay with you long after you've finished listening. I want to tell you about a young woman. Let's call her Mia. Mia grew up very shy and sensitive. From a young age, she found social situations overwhelming. At school, she sat at the back. She rarely spoke in class. When teachers asked the class questions, Mia's heart would pound so loudly, she was sure everyone around her could hear it. She had one close friend, just one. And that friendship was the most precious thing in her life. As she grew older, the anxiety did not go away. In fact, at university, it got worse. She found herself avoiding lectures, avoiding group work, avoiding everything she could. She spent a lot of time alone. She told herself she preferred it that way, but deep inside, she knew. She was lonely. She wanted more. She just didn't know how to get there. One day, she was 20 years old. Mia was sitting alone in a cafe, feeling a particular wave of sadness, when she decided, something has to change. She did not have a dramatic transformation overnight. She did not suddenly become confident and outgoing in a moment. What happened was quieter and more real than that. She found a therapist. She started going once a week. Slowly, painfully, slowly, she began to understand her anxiety. She learned to recognize the thoughts. She learned to question them. She learned to breathe. Her therapist gave her small, manageable challenges. One week, smile at a stranger. Next week, introduce yourself to someone in your class. Next week, stay at the cafe for 30 minutes, even though you feel the urge to leave. Each challenge was hard. Each one made Mia's heart race. But each one, she completed. And over months, something changed. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, like light coming through a curtain. Mia started to believe, just a little, that she could handle social situations, that people were not constantly judging her, that she had things worth saying. By the time she finished university, she had 4 close friends. She had given 2 presentations and survived both of them. She had joined a book club. She had asked her manager for a project she wanted to lead, and gotten it. Mia is not cured of anxiety. She still feels it sometimes, but now it no longer runs her life. She runs her life. And she told me something once that I have never forgotten. She said, "The bravest thing I ever did was decide to try. Not to be fearless, I was never fearless. But to try, anyway, even while I was afraid. That is courage. Real courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in spite of it. And if Mia could do it, I believe, completely and sincerely, that you can too." And we have arrived at the end of today's episode of Code Your English. Let me take a moment to bring everything together. Today, we talked about social anxiety, what it is, what it feels like, and why it happens. We learned that social anxiety is more than just shyness. It is a genuine, intense fear of social situations, a fear of being judged, embarrassed, or rejected. We learned that it affects the emotions, the body, and the thoughts, all at once and all very powerfully. We talked about the many situations where social anxiety appears, in classrooms, in workplaces, in daily life. We talked about the causes, personality, life experiences, family, and the brain's alarm system. We talked about how social anxiety can affect friendships, education, careers, and personal happiness. We challenged some common myths. We explored some real, practical strategies for managing anxiety, starting small, challenging negative thoughts, practicing social skills, breathing, and reaching out for support. And we heard Mia's story, a reminder that change is possible, that progress is real, and that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to try anyway. Your vocabulary from today. Before I let you go, let's quickly review the key words and phrases from today's episode. Social anxiety, a strong, ongoing fear of social situations, particularly fear of being judged or embarrassed. Temperament, a person's natural way of feeling and behaving, present from early childhood. Trigger, something that causes a reaction to start. Fight or flight response, the body's automatic reaction to perceived danger. Amygdala, the part of the brain that acts as the alarm system. Cognitive behavioral therapy /CBT, a type of therapy that helps people understand and change their thought patterns. Exposure, the technique of gradually facing feared situations in order to reduce anxiety. Parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system that calms the body after stress. Write those down. Say them out loud. Use them in a sentence. Make them part of your English. Now, and this is the part I feel most excited about, I want to invite you into our community. If this episode touched you, if something you heard today felt true, felt real, felt like something you needed, please share this episode with one person. Just one. Because you never know who in your life might need to hear these words today. If you are listening on a podcast platform, please leave us a review. It takes 2 minutes, and it makes an enormous difference in helping other people find Code Your English. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe right now, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Every time you do that, you help our community grow, and you help us keep making content that matters. And follow us on social media. We share vocabulary, tips, mini lessons, and encouragement every week. We are building something real here, a community of English learners who support each other, grow together, and understand that language learning is about far more than grammar and vocabulary. It is about life. Final words. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. You are listening to this podcast right now. You are learning English. You are engaging with ideas about mental health and human experience in a language that may not be your first language. Do you understand how remarkable that is? You are brave. You are growing. You are exactly where you need to be. Social anxiety, or anything else that makes life harder, does not have to be your whole story. It can be one chapter, a chapter that leads to something greater. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep going. This is Code Your English, and we will be right here, waiting for you, in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves, be gentle with yourselves, and remember, you are not alone.